Hi everyone. Thank you, Petra, and thank you everyone for coming. My name is Roman, and today I'm gonna talk about how to bring blockchain apps to the masses. The title might be a bit weird. I initially wanted to call it "How to Bring Crypto to the Masses," but after a little thinking, bringing crypto to the masses means people buying tokens, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin or ETH, or these kind of things. But it's not about that. It's about bringing decentralized apps to the masses. So making it easy for people to use DeFi or NFTs or applications that live on the blockchain. So the talk is split into three parts. The first, I'm going to talk about what's wrong with Ethereum today. So this is going to be focused on Ethereum and the EVM, how account abstraction is fixing it, and what's the current state of account abstraction, and what's coming next. Brief introduction of me. So I'm Roman. I studied computer science in Brno. I worked as a product manager at Microsoft, then moved to London where I worked for Argent. For those unfamiliar, it's one of the leading Ethereum wallets. They are pioneering the social recovery, which is at the core of account abstraction. And now I'm the founder and CEO of Wido Labs. I'm not going to shell Wido Labs throughout the talk, except of now. So just very briefly, we're building a set of tools for DeFi apps and wallets to make the user experience better. We're working with protocols like ETH Finance and Compound and building some tools inside the apps. So what's wrong with Ethereum accounts today? The seed phrase. This is very wrong. Like a few years from now, we're gonna be laughing that we wanted to remember some kind of password. The problem is that it's very easy to lose access, and this little password is everything. If you lose it, you've lost the whole account. If you have $1 there, or 1 million, or 1 billion, if you lose this little password, everything is gone. We're asking our, like, it's just very weird. It's very scary to transact because this password has access to the whole account. So if you have $1 billion inside that account and you just want to make a little transaction like swap $1, you're risking the whole billion. There is no way to only risk a part of it. And people are very bad at managing passwords. I have a lot of friends who, or parents who can't remember passwords to email. So asking them to hold all of their net worth behind this is just, ridiculous. And I don't just want to blame non-technical users. Even for us, it's hard to do this. So Coinbase came up a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And they tried to solve this problem. They came with this great idea that they will do something what Gmail did. They took the email server and they put it to the cloud, so that the user doesn't need to run their own server. Everything is in the cloud. So Coinbase takes care of the seed phrase for you. You just have your email and your password. You can use your KYC. In case you forget your password, it's fine. You're gonna recover that. And they are doing a decent job. You can hold your crypto there. They are adding integrations with DeFi protocols. You can stake your tokens on Lido now using Coinbase. So, yeah, go on. Yeah, I'm gonna get to that. Not your keys, not your crypto. That's the problem. So, yeah, I just wanted to ask what's the problem with Coinbase. This was the answer. But I don't want to blame Coinbase. I mean, I'm personally a big fan, but it's not just Coinbase. There have been a lot of scams. The ethos of crypto is decentralization and giving people power to control everything. We want to get rid of middlemen. So building building middlemen like Coinbase or FTX is not the answer. We want people to actually use it, but the only way how to use DeFi and how to be self-custodial today is to remember the seed phrase. So the point I want to make is self-custody matters, know your keys, know your crypto. We're gonna change this a bit throughout this talk. I don't think people should remember their keys, but they should have a system how to securely store them without trusting any third party. So we pretty much want to build the same user experience or even better to what Coinbase offers, but on-chain without Coinbase, so that you can recover your key, you can lose it, and you're still fine. This is just saying what I already said. Self-custody is hard. Even crypto people are forgetting their keys, getting scammed. You know, many people just open an app and connect their MetaMask and type the seed phrase there because it's asking them for a seed phrase. And then they're like, why did they steal my money? So what's the problem? The Ethereum accounts as of today, there are two types. One is externally owned account, the EOA, and the second one is a smart contract. The EOA is pretty much what you use as your account. So this is your MetaMask. It's the seed phrase, and it holds the accounts. And it's the only type of account in Ethereum that can initiate transactions and can pay for transactions. And then there is the second type, which is the smart contract, that can be called by EOAs. So what's actually the problem with this? So I'll try to visualize how EOA works or looks. It's not exactly how it's implemented in the EVM. So if there are some technical people, please don't blame me. There is some abstraction used here, but hopefully it's gonna serve well for the example. So this is the account, okay? It has some public key. This is what you can send to your friends so that they can send money to your account. And it has some tokens inside. And then there is this signer object and the seed phrase which you hold. And you can use that seed phrase to access these tokens. It's very tightly connected. And that seed phrase is the only thing that has access to this money. And it cannot be divided or split. So once you have the seed phrase, you have the money. Once you don't have the seed phrase, it's gone. So there is this user, they are holding the seed phrase, they can transact. Once they lose the seed phrase, everything is gone. There is no way how to recover lost seed, and there is no way how to add additional security checks, which we're gonna talk about later. Humans suck at managing passwords. I already kind of talked about this.
Isn't it passphrase one of the security checks?
Passphrase or seed phrase or password, I use those terms interchangeably. So some kind of secure phrase that you can use to unlock access to your tokens. So here is how account abstraction is changing that. The account is still there. It has the public key, so you can send tokens to this account. The money is there, but the signer is programmable. It doesn't hold the seed. It's not tightly connected to that seed phrase. It's a piece of code, and you can, the creator of this account can define how is it going to check whether you are the owner of this money or whether the transaction is valid. So in this case, the user can have different devices. They can have the ledger, they can have their phone, they can have their laptop. All of those devices can hold some kind of passwords or secrets. You know, newer phones have security enclaves that hold very secure pieces of information or passwords. The user doesn't even need to see those passwords. The point is they can use the phone to access the the account. They can use their Face ID, for example. And we'll get to that in more detail soon. If they lose a phone, they can use the other devices to recover, etc. It's not a new concept. So just a little bit of history. Vitalik himself has been talking about account abstraction since the beginning of Ethereum. It was just put aside because there was a focus on scalability. So there was the merge and layer 2s, but now this is kind of in place. So these topics, or topics like account abstraction, are back. In 2016, there was an EIP 86, which introduced forwarding contracts to abstract the signature, to remove the seed phrase connection with the account. In 2018, smart contract wallets like Argent and Gnosis Safe, they came up with multi-sigs, these kind of things, but it was all on the application layer. It was not part of the blockchain itself. 2020, there were two EIPs, 2938, which tried to make smart contracts the main accounts on Ethereum, but it would require a hard fork. It was a big change to the blockchain, to the EVM. Similarly, 3074 tried to do the same thing with EOS. So it tried to make EOS smart. Externally owned account becomes smart. Finally, in 2021, EIP 4337 came up with an idea to leave everything as it is. So no hard fork required. But it decentralized the infrastructure required to write and operate smart contract wallets, pretty much. So similar to what Argent and Gnosis Safe were trying to build, but in a decentralized way. Because Argent and Gnosis Safe, they require some centralized parties to operate. And luckily, 4337, just last week, so March 2nd, it was deployed on mainnet. So this is now live, and the account abstraction is getting into the reality. So 2 slides about how this ERC works. Just very briefly. So the user, when they want to submit a transaction, they send a thing called user operation. You can think of it as a transaction. And that user operation is sent to a higher level mempool, so a different mempool. There will be 2 mempools. The higher level mempool is operated by bundlers. So those bundlers receive those user operations and they bundle them into a bundle, like a block. Once that bundler bundles those transactions, they send it to the entry point contract, which is the one that was deployed last week. It's not owned by anyone, it's like a public good, it's not upgradable. The bundler pays for the bundle of user operations. So this is how gasless transactions are going to be possible. Users don't need to pay for the gas in ETH. And that's pretty much it. So the bundler sends it to the entry point contract. And now the second slide. So once the entry point contract receives the bundle of user operations, it's going to call a method that's called validate user op on the wallet. The wallet is a smart contract. Every smart contract wallet that follows this ERC needs to implement this validate user op. And that's where we can define, or the wallet can define, custom validations for this particular user operation. Is it valid, is it not valid? And we're going to get to examples very soon. Once this user operation is validated, the wallet calls another method called execute, which executes the operation, the transaction, and that's another place where we can define custom logic, we as the wallet creators. So the question is that it? Not really. Even with all of this, the EOS, externally owned accounts, are still there. People still have Metamasks. This is not the end goal. This is like an alternative, 2 types of wallets. We need, what we really need to bring blockchain apps to the masses is to make account abstraction integrated natively in the chain, which that requires hard fork, as we said. But the good thing is that layer 2s are a great place to start experimenting with these kind of things, because they are new, there is less at stake, they can build new things faster, and there are two leading layer 2s, Starknet and zk-Sync in particular, which have account abstraction natively. So on those layer 2s, every account is a smart contract. So there are no EOAs anymore. And this has some implications for the top-level developers, but it will enable much better user experience for the users. And now the use cases. This was maybe a bit more technical. Now we'll get into the actual use cases enabled by account abstraction. So the first one is you can use your Face ID as your seed. You will go to an app and you will create a wallet. You will connect it with your Face ID with the security enclave in your phone, and you will not see any, any seed phrase, any password, nothing like that. It's going to be your phone. If you use your iPhone, you trust Apple. You can use Apple's recovery system. If you have a Mac or an iPad, you lose your phone. You can use your iPad to recover your phone. So you can use the trust assumptions of Apple in this example, and you're fine. There is no middleman, there is no Coinbase, there is no bank. You hold your keys completely, but you don't have any seed phrase. It's all in your devices. Doesn't need to be Apple. It can be your ledger, it can be your recovery code, it can be your friends, etc. Second use case that is going to be enabled by account abstraction, which I think is pretty cool, is fraud monitoring service. I used Avast logo here. I don't know if Avast is building anything like that, okay? I just wanted to, it would make sense for them, and I wanted to put them here. I think it's a good business opportunity these days to build something like that. So how would it work? You have your phone and you want to swap on Uniswap. So you send a transaction, you want to swap 1,000 USDC for 1,000 DAI. Your wallet will ask this. Actually, one more thing you need to do. You will add a plugin from Avast to monitor your transactions, to be your fraud monitoring service. Maybe you'll pay some fee for this monthly. But every time you send this transaction to swap your tokens, your wallet will ask Avast, is this transaction okay or not? And Avast can say, or not, like this is not Uniswap, this is a fork of Uniswap, this is a weird contract, we don't allow this transaction. So they can censor. But you have chosen them to guard your particular wallet. It can be anyone. But this is a pretty cool use case that is enabled by account abstraction. Sure? Fire? Makes sense. I don't know Fire. I think I would need to check how it works exactly, but I think it just shows you the UI. So if you wanted to, you would still be able to send the transaction, whereas here it would actually block you. But yeah, definitely this kind of apps need to be built to make it easier and less scummy for people. Transaction limits, very similar. Instead of Avast, we have this red box there. It can be another service that is checking how much have you transferred every day. Those are very basic use cases that every bank does already on our accounts. Like if I spend more than 1,000 per day, the bank will require me to do for example, two-factor authentication, use another device to just approve the transaction. I'm actually willing to make more than 1,000, which is my limit. This could be my child's phone. I can impose limits on my kids and give them daily limits or something like that. So this is going to be natively enabled by account abstraction in the account contract. And the last use case I have here, and the last slide, is transaction bundlers. I'm particularly excited about that because this is what we deal with at Wido. The idea here is that you will bundle multiple transactions into one. So today, if you want to swap something on Uniswap, usually you need to make a approved transaction first, where you approve that Uniswap contract to access your funds, and then you send the transaction. The problem is that people usually approve unlimited amounts, then they make a swap, and then they forget to revoke the approval. Because it's another gas and it's another hassle, you need to go to a different app, no one knows where to do a revoke, so no one does it. And there is a lot of hacks, like millions, hundreds of millions of dollars have been lost due to people not doing revokes or doing unlimited approvals. And we can't blame them, like if the app pops up, you should just click a button, and that's how it can work. You click a button, you want to swap something, and in the background there will be 3 transactions. Approve, swap, and then revoke the approval. The user will not even know what it will happen in the background. Or similarly, you all are probably used to shopping on sites like Alza. If you're buying something, usually what you do is you put things into the basket, or the, I forgot the English word, it's not called basket in English. Anyways, say it again? The cart, yes, the shopping cart. So you add things into the shopping cart, and at the end, you have 5 things there or 10 things there, you pay. If you go to any NFT marketplace today, you will pay for every NFT you're buying. There is a project on Starknet, I forgot the name, but they're building this. They're building an NFT marketplace with a card, where the user can just add the NFTs into a card, and then at the end of the checkout, they will pay for the whole thing. In the background, there will be 20 transactions, approvals, revokes, purchases. For the user, it's a single click experience. I didn't know there's something like that.
Yeah, there's something on Ethereum for NFTs, like Gem, XYZ, which is bought by OpenSea, and you can what's called like floor sweep. You can select multiple listings you want and buy all the NFTs in one transaction.
Nice. I will need to check that out. This is pretty much it. This was the last slide. The key thing I would like you to take out of this talk is that account abstraction is going to make self-custody mainstream. It's the technology that is needed for building recovery mechanisms for seed phrases. Basically, what we know from custodians, we can build that natively on the chain and let users self-custody without the pain of keeping the seed phrase in their pockets. Thank you.
Anybody has a question?
So can we talk about the future? How do you see actually account management for normal people in 10 years? How, like, if someone wake up in the morning and want to interact with blockchain, how do you envision that?
Thank you. I envision it very similar to what we have already in our phones. So I'll have my phone, I'll be able to make a swap on Uniswap or send money to my friends. And I will not be worried, there will be transaction limits. So I will not be worried that I get racked or hacked with sending too much or sending it to a wrong address. I'll be able to recover my seed phrase, which I don't even know how it is written. I will not have this 12 words or 24 words hidden anywhere. It's going to be part of my phone. In case I lose my phone or someone steals it from me, I can use my iPad to recover using the Apple recovery system, which is going to do all of it for me. Again, I will not see the seed phrase ever.
just to also react on this, it's not the future, it's happening now. There already exists the demo app where you can use a single sign-on of the socials from Google, from Facebook, from Twitter, from GitHub, and based on that you got derived account on, I think, Polygon. I think they run it, Polygon. So you just click on a single sign-on of the Google, and then you can mint some NFTs there towards public blockchain of the Polygon and do some stuff with that. So it's happening now, this. But there is one more thing regarding the 4337, and that is that it's always like limited to the parts of the Ethereum contracts. On purpose, it doesn't say anything about how the user in fact interacts with that in detail. This is like left towards the implementators of those authorization workflows, let's say. So basically what we are doing with the account abstraction is that we are like shifting the critical part of the authorization from what we used to know as BIP39 and so on. So basically the common technique with the keywords and mnemonics and derived public key. And we are like shifting it away towards those other ways of how to authorize whatever interaction the user wants to do. And there might be lying some danger, and this is something which we as the industry will have to be exploring in the future, because there I can expect will be a lot of hacks and social engineering. That is for the future.
Anyone else?
Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to check, because when you look at normal banking, you have like two ways. One is the credit card, which you use to spend, but then you have like your e-banking and passports, which you use to set up settings. But in the crypto and Ethereum, we only use private keys to set limits, and we use public keys. We use private keys also to sign transactions and spend the money. So like the example with Avast, it's kind of like, okay, but if I get hold of your private key and I can sign transactions, and I'm self-custodial, I can also turn off Avast and any other third ways to recover the app. And I think this is like one problem that these solutions, I think they aren't really solving so well. Like if I manage to phish you, do a phishing attack, get your private key, then I can disable everything else and go ahead with whatever I want to do, regardless of the protections. What do you think about that?
It's a good point. I don't have any good thoughts, I think. I get your point. There is a danger. One quick idea that comes is, the wallet could not allow users to do things like that, but then it's kind of getting closer to we're not your custodial, but we dictate a lot of things for you and you need to listen to us. So I do understand this concern. I don't know how to solve this, but I'm positive that it's going to be solved somehow.
I will have a question. In your bio, you wrote that you work for Argent, right? And when I first read about 4337 and all the fuss around it, I said, oh, there's already Gnosis and Argent on, in the field for quite several years. So, what's the reaction of the Argent towards the current buzzword of the account abstraction and 4337?
So Argent is supporting this a lot. They co-created this 4337, and they worked with Starknet and zkSync to push account abstraction there. So they are pushing this direction.
So they will like migrate their solution into.
Yes, they will.
This 4337.
Yeah, because self-custody is very important for them. It's at the core of what they're building. They needed to use some centralized services to function. Now they will not need that. So it makes them happy, if I put it simply.
And Gnosis,
I don't know about Gnosis.
Any more questions?
Hi, two questions. First of all, you said that this currently is implemented differently across different chains. Does it mean that we are losing interoperability across chains right now? And the second question is, how much are we concerned that these middlemen like Adast will collect user data and score wallets?
Thank you. Quick questions, quick answers. Yes, we're losing some interoperability. The way account abstraction is implemented on zk-Sync token is different than 4337. There is Polygon is building their own version, which is, I think, a bit different. So interoperability is losing a bit on this. On the data, no comment there. I mean, sure, they will be able to do that.
Okay, so thanks, Roman.